The story of Jagga Jasoos evolves around the infamous high-profile case of Purulia arms drop, which took place in the year 1995, allegedly to overthrow the then communist government of West Bengal, India. Jagga Ranbir Kapoor, a curious and shy young boy in a quaint little town, lives a happy life with his accident-prone guardian, Bagchi Saswata Chatterjee, who he calls Tutifuti. After admitting Jagga into a boarding school, his guardian suddenly disappears. Feeling abandoned, Jagga's only contact with Tutifuti is a VHS tape that he receives in the mail every year on his birthday. Through the VHS, Jagga can track Tutifuti's location all around India through the years. Jagga has a penchant for investigation. He stammers, so sings everything. He even solves a murder mystery at school when one teacher commits suicide. Jagga, through a series of clues, finds that the teacher was having an affair with the prof. The prof's wife figures out and meets the teacher at the clock tower. She kills the teacher in a fit of rage. Then the prof arrives and both carry the body to the top of the building and tie it in such a way to the clock tower that the knot unties at a specific hour when both the prof and his wife are at school, with solid alibis. One day Jagga finds Shruti, Katrina Kaif, an accident-prone journalist with her international criminal case to solve. Shruti is investigating the illegal arms trade but is prone to accidents. Shruti is in Mizoram, where Jagga studies, to investigate an international smuggling ring. She has an informant who has agreed to meet her. But on the day of the meeting, the informant is stabbed to death from a distance and Shruti becomes the prime suspect in his death. Jagga witnesses this and comes to save Shruti. Shruti reveals that the informant and his brother used to work for international smugglers to smuggle weapons from Burma to India. After a while, the smugglers wanted to eliminate all employees and recruit new ones. So they shot the brother, and this prompted the informant to reach out to Shruti. But he was killed as well. Jagga hides Shruti in his hostel, but has to escape when Shruti escapes into a bathroom full of boys. Together, they reach a circus where Jagga is looking for an expert knife thrower, whom he suspects of killing Shruti's informant. They find him, only to see him being shot by the smuggler's unknown assassin. Shruti and Jagga escape. Through Shruti's research, Jagga finds that large groups of people had been killed simultaneously over the years by smugglers in the Mizoram jungles. Jagga links it to a hidden tunnel in Mizoram that Netaji Bose used in 1944 to enter India via Burma. Now the same route is being used by smugglers to smuggle weapons. The tunnel has a river flowing through it and leaves everyone with white feet, as it takes 3 days to cross it. All the dead bodies had white feet. Jagga then figures that the smugglers are using the elephants of a nearby village to transport their weapons through the heavy jungle. He uses their help to trace the smugglers' den and get them arrested by the police. On the day the VHS tape fails to arrive on Jagga's day. Armed with sharp detective skills, Jagga sets out to solve the mystery of his missing Tutifuti. Meanwhile, it shows that Tutifuti has some association with ex-IB officer Sinha, Saurabh Shukla. Bagchi was working for Sinha, collecting evidence on an intended arms smuggling ring headed by a mythical Bashir Alexander. Bagchi had given the evidence to Sinha, who had told him to halt his investigation and go home. While returning, Bagchi was attacked by Bashir's men, whom he escapes. Bagchi knew that Sinha was working for Bashir and didn't give him all the evidence. He keeps a VHS tape to himself, which he later sent to Jagga. Sinha prints Bagchi's obituary in the papers to lure Jagga to the funeral. There he tells Jagga that he works for the IB and Bagchi is a murder suspect. Then Jagga reveals to Sinha that he knows Bagchi is not dead and escapes his clutches. Jagga reaches out to Shruti to help him out. Shruti reveals that Badal Bagchi was a journalist who exposed the Purulia arms drop case. Nobody would believe Bagchi's story at first, but Bagchi was dogged in his investigation and slowly started gathering evidence. As more and more people started getting exposed, Bagchi was visited by Sinha, a corrupt IB officer, who was fired. Bagchi escaped and started building his network of supporters to expose this conspiracy. But slowly, his supporters were eliminated until Bagchi was alone, and that's when he met Jagga for the first time. On the run from the law. Jagga reveals to Shruti that Bagchi is alive and in Mombasa, in Africa. Sinha tracks down Jagga and Shruti and starts following them in Mombasa. Meanwhile, the VHS tape that Bagchi couriered arrives in Calcutta and is intercepted by Sinha's men. Shruti and Jagga have to search all hotels in Mombasa to find Bagchi. Eventually, Sinha traces Shruti and Jagga. Jagga alleges that Sinha only pretended to help Bagchi in his investigations in the Purulia arms case. His real mission was to put together a team of private investigators who would collect evidence against the rich and powerful of the country, and that would help Sinha blackmail them. But the plan goes astray when Bagchi withholds evidence against Bashir. Jagga and Shruti escape and finally manage to track down the village where Bagchi was hiding. They are given Bagchi's diary where he reveals that Bashir was the man behind the illegal arms trade, but he knew that Sinha was only using them to get info on Bashir. From the diary, Jagga finds that Bagchi intended to catch a specific train from the nearest Tukiki station. Jagga and Shruti miss the train perhaps one day ahead of them. Jagga and Shruti steal a turboprop plane to pursue the train, which they find entering a military installation in the middle of nowhere. This was the biggest illegal arms fair in the world. The train was a circus, which was invited to perform at the fair. Bagchi had boarded the train to gain access to the fair. Later, it is also revealed that the train was being used to transfer the sold arms all over the world. As Jagga and Shruti are arrested, Bagchi reveals himself and helps them escape and steals the train with all the illegal arms. They are chased again, without Jagga and Shruti, knowing that Bagchi is on the same train. Both escape separately and come